Hey, well, today I'm angry because finally a travesty of justice has come to an end, but it's taken 4 years for it to happen. So let me tell you the story, and please try to put your partisan hat aside for a moment. Everybody's always pro-Trump, anti-Trump. For God's sake, it's not all about Trump. Let's look at this case for what it is and not drag Trump into it. It's not always about Trump. Okay, with that out of the way, we're talking about Michael Flynn. So here we go. Today, the case finally got resolved. And the essence of the case is this. The Trump administration won the election in 2016, and between the election in November of 2016 and the inauguration on the 20th of January in 2017, during that period, the Obama administration decided to punish the Russians for their interference in the election, because obviously that interfered. How else could Donald Trump have won? We know now there was no interference, but at that time it seemed to be a pretty widespread belief, and crazily enough, there are still people who believe it today, in spite of the fact that there's no evidence for it, and believe me, a very thorough investigation has been done. So we come to the period where Trump has been elected president, but is not yet president. Obama decides to sour relationships between the US and Russia by expelling 35 diplomats for election meddling. Not that they had done it, but that Russia had done it, and this was a statement. So Trump's new incoming national security advisor contacts the Russians, and he says to them, because we have the transcripts now, he says, "Please don't let the Obama administration box us in. Tell Moscow we would like to have a relationship independent from what Obama is dictating. Don't let his actions dictate what our relationship is going to be like." He also says, please don't act in a way that's escalating. We understand that we've caused you harm by expelling these diplomats. Please do something in a reciprocal fashion. If you escalate, we have to escalate. It's going to be bad for both of us. The Russians say they understand. Okay, these are the two main claims that the prosecutor made against Flynn, that he lied about these conversations. However, as we discovered 2 years later in Judge Sullivan's courtroom, the agent's notes, the original 302s, show that Flynn did not lie. He evaded the question. He said it might have happened. He couldn't recall. He wasn't sure. And you can see he said this specifically in response to the questions. A lie has been perpetrated. Flynn did not lie. Flynn was accused of lying. Flynn was bankrupted in defending himself against the claim that he had lied. They even threatened to prosecute his son, at which point General Flynn said, I give up. I'll sign a plea deal. And he did sign a plea deal, and he did cooperate with prosecutors. But sadly for him, there was nothing to give to the prosecutors. Nothing bad had transpired. And so Flynn was not able to actually provide them with any worthwhile information, which I'm sure you can imagine infuriated them. It certainly infuriated the judge in his case, Judge Sullivan, who 2 years after the offense, when General Flynn had showed up for sentencing, Sullivan was so outraged that he wanted Flynn to be charged with treason, and said, and I quote, "I'm not hiding my disgust, my disdain for this criminal offense." He asked prosecutors if they could charge Flynn with something else. The judge advocating, not what a judge is supposed to do, needless to say. And after reflection, he came back and saying that he wasn't suggesting that Flynn had committed treason. He was just curious. Okay, very strange. However, he should have accepted Flynn's guilty plea. He should have sentenced him to prison. Flynn would have been found guilty. He was guilty. He had pled guilty at that point. If he had been sentenced, that would have ended the matter. But no, Sullivan dragged it on. And 2 years later, when the Justice Department finally realized that their investigation had been so compromised and that there really was no evidence against Flynn, they dropped the case, meaning they asked the judge to stop the case. And the judge refused. Judge is not supposed to be an advocate in this proceeding. He is a judge, not an advocate. The attorneys appearing before him are advocating positions, and he's supposed to be a calm, measured judge. Not this guy. This guy, upon hearing that the government wanted to drop charges, brought in an outside prosecutor, the guy who actually prosecuted John Gotti, the mob guy, brought in an outside counsel to argue that the Justice Department shouldn't be allowed to drop the case. Well, finally today, Wednesday, the 24th of June, 2020, almost 4 years after this alleged transgression took place, the Judge Sullivan was finally ordered to let it go, and the district court did not allow his extrajudicial efforts to go forth. However, this guy that they nailed on this false perjury charge was a general. If you think that your ability to defend yourself is in any way close to what General Flynn's ability was, you are sadly mistaken. We need to have a justice system that we can rely on in this country. What happened to General Flynn is an example to us all. I'm no fan of Flynn's. I didn't know him beforehand. I've got no dog in this fight. But I am representing fairness, always. Please, won't you join me and wake up?